Hey, Steve Basic Architect. Yeah, we're back out at our Historic Reno here. We're about to go inside and take a tour of the first floor, but I think before we do that, we tell a little story about what's happening out here in the garage. So you can see I have a bunch of junk wood here. A lot of people would consider it junk, right? We have some old beams. You can see it still has all of these finely crafted mortises in it. We have a whole bunch of different sized lumber, from stud work to old flooring and planking or sleepers and flat work. And you look at this and say, yeah, that's, what a piece of junk. It's got nail holes and stuff in it. But, the clients that bought this house were really particular about buying an antique. And they wanted to get that antique character in their house. So the beauty about saving all of this, and I commend Shoreline Builders, they're a builder out on the South Shore of Boston. It's headed by a gentleman, Jim Wolfer, and his son, Taylor Wolfer. If you're looking for a builder on the South Shore, it doesn't get any better than those guys. So their heart and passion are in it like you wouldn't believe. It's a privilege to work with these guys. But take a look at that junk wood. But you know what? When you take that piece of wood and clean it up, look at that. That is beautiful. And it has a couple hundred years worth of character built into it, right? The original house here was built in like the early 1850s. So we're closing in on about 175 years here, and we're giving it a second life. But a lot of the stuff that these guys took their heart and passion in and put back in was some of that original wood. Now, this original piece of wood that was in the house, you could probably almost guarantee that that was probably cut from a 200 or 300-year-old tree back in the 1850s when it was milled up to become that piece of flooring. So anyways, let's take some time. Let's take a walk in. We'll head inside on the first floor and we'll do a quick tour. So I'll see you in there. All right, well, I was about to head in, but I thought before I headed in, one of the things unique to New England that when I travel around the country I don't see much is we do a plaster finish here. So we put up a different type of gypsum board that is made for plaster, and then we do, it's probably somewhere around a 16th plus, 16 strong of veneer plaster. And you can see here in the garage, we do the whole garage typically. It gives that nice plaster finish. You can paint it or you can just leave the plaster as is, which a lot of people do. But we also insulate all of our walls here. The ceiling is insulated and also has that rigid insulation. I've done some videos on that detail, but I just wanted to point out that plaster finish here and how it's different from the rest of the country. So let's head on in here. And upon arrival here, now the clients just moved in, so not all of the furniture, not all of living and life has been inserted here quite yet. They're slowly bringing it to life, but you can see here we have our door out to the driveway here, and here comes my good friend Brady. Brady is a member of the family. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, we'll get you on film. So Brady's the keeper of the house when the homeowners aren't home. And so we have a little area here, mudroom. They're going to get a little bench for that. In here we have the laundry room. They have their washer and dryer set up. There's a few things in there, so it's not quite finished. We have our coat closet here, and a nice table here. And then this leads all down to Brady's eating spot, but we also have a full bath here. We have a shower, toilet, obviously the vanity, but here you can see, here's some of that repurposed lumber. So we have, these are some of the studs from the original house. This is some of the flooring from the original house. And Jim and Taylor, they made up these doors, built these cabinets, and then got that countertop so that, this house, even though it's brand new and freshly remodeled, there is a lot of the old house story happening here. And you can see here, This is the pantry. We're just off the kitchen here. And so again, we have a bunch of the old flooring, a bunch of the reclaimed stud work, and on a barn door, this is their pantry. And you know, immediately upon entering the door, you look right down at it and you get that immediate reflection of what was once here that now has a new purpose. So let's move on into the house here. Now, this is just an absolutely gorgeous space. You can see here, we have the kitchen. You saw on the outside, we talked about that corner window, just basically flooding this space with light. We have just an absolutely gorgeous colonial color on the cabinets, complemented with a really nice countertop here. But then look, all of that is tossed in with high technology, right? We got a nice industrial looking fan. We have a nice induction cooktop here. So it's a nice merge of some old world thoughts, some new world thoughts, basically giving this house a second life here. So got the nice farmhouse sink here, you know, all the new dishwashers. We have the kind of the chef or the cooking island, if you will. And rather than have one big island like we originally had in the plan, the homeowner asked if we could break it into two. She wanted a place where like she could do all her cooking and have a space that is somewhat separated from another island that would be something totally different and be more for the guests. Now, this thing here, in terms of this house and the island itself, this thing's a work of art, right? Jim and his son put this together. This is all, you know, these are all old studs from the original house. These are all old beams and old floorboards on some of the panels there. Just absolutely gorgeous. Has all the character, all the little nail holes and such. But you can see this is probably about a 42-inch by almost 8-foot island here. Seats 3. We're looking directly out onto the family room there and out those porch doors that we talked about earlier. And when you look to this side, you can see we opened up this space. There used to be a wall here. In fact, there used to be an old fireplace and chimney that we took out of here, but we opened that up. So now we have a little dining alcove out there. And then we have, this was the original living room here that we pretty much, this one here pretty much went untouched except for a quick facelift. Like, for example, these are the original floorboards here, right? This is a 170 plus year old floor that we knocked down and gave it a new clear finish there so Brady can walk around and simply enjoy the aesthetics. Now, you can see here, like I talked about in old houses, all old houses have a story. And we can sit here and contemplate, why was this patch put in? What happened there? The bottom line is, who the hell knows, right? But we don't know. But there was obviously a story here. And that's part of the love of these old antique houses, that when you walk around them, that you've inserted new life into it, but you've paid respect to the old world that the house originally was in. So as we move through here, you'll see this is that front door that we saw from the outside. Notice that the flooring here matches there, but it turns direction here at the foot of the stairs. So, like everything, there is a story here, right? When Jim and Taylor were demoing the house, they took up a bunch of flooring from the original kitchen and they saved it because they knew that they could use that flooring and come out here and repurpose it as the flooring to the entryway here. But what didn't happen is we didn't have floorboards long enough to go from the threshold to the wall. So they were all shorter lengths. So we had to put in this margin line here and basically switch direction. But again, that is that kind of antiquated culture that when people buy these old antiques, those are the stories that, yeah, you know, New England frugality at its best right here. We had a bunch of short boards, we'll run them this way, we'll run them that way, and we'll have that margin line in between. And it's telling that story. The old stairway, well, that just got a new paint job and a facelift. Got tightened up a little bit, but not a whole lot changed there. The entryway brings us back into the kitchen, and you can see behind me here, it's just, again, you get a nice broad view of that kitchen, the broad view of that island here, and again, you can see these are all the different nail holes here that when the boards were cut in half, all of these nail holes reappear. And you know, you can imagine you're sitting down here and you're sitting with a couple of your friends and you're having that bottle of wine, and you're sitting there and you're talking about, you know, someday 175 years ago, some guy was out here swinging a hammer and was driving nails into these boards. And now in 2023, that's our kitchen island. So the flooring here, this was from a reclaimed lumber shop down here on the South Shore, south of Boston. We can get this, these old floors. They basically buy up these old beams and then they slice them into flooring dimensions so that we get some really nice wide boards. We get a very consistent color, but we get extreme character. And let me show you what I mean by that. As we come down here and step down, we actually have a step down into the family room because the clients wanted a little taller height down here in their family room rather than that kind of 7'8". We're at probably closing in at around 8.5 feet here, so makes it just a little bit taller. But you can see another one of Shoreline's pieces here where they did a little built-in bar. You know, we have a nice little drawer base here, and then we have some doors there with some shelves. So again, for your little wine conversation, we got a place to store all the wine. We got a little beverage fridge, and then we have this beautiful family room. You can see down here, it terminates with those 4 panels of doors. Those go out to that covered porch that I talked about. That you can open these doors, even in the heaviest of rains, you're not going to get that rain coming in. Those doors are not going to get challenged. So you can get that fresh air without, you know, the worries of, you know, the water coming in. But here's what I wanted to show you. You take these big old beams, you cut them up, and occasionally you find extreme character. Look at this. That's an old lag bolt. You can see the whole cavity is left on there, but you can see all of the thread marks on that, where that lag bolt lived in that beam for years and years. And again, we're telling a story. Look at, you have these old holes where bolts would go in that flooring. So at this flooring place at the reclamation company, they scan them for metals, pull out all of the bolts and such before they go and cut them all up. But after all those bolts are pulled, you're left with all of these voids in the floorboards there. So it just gives you character, and it just never stops. Like, you have a little diagonal one there. You can just see there's a whole bunch of little nail holes. You can see right there that things that were penetrating that floor. And so you can sit here on your couch and watch TV, but when your friends are over, you can say, yeah, this is all old claimed lumber. You can see another lag bolt there. But also, Shoreline, because we had a lot of that timber, they took some of that old timber, cleaned it all up, and then made that brand new mantle on the fireplace there to basically complement all of the other wood that's happening. in here. So anyways, I think we can go over here. There's a couple more places. You know, the stool for the top of the half wall here, again, it's all of that reclaimed lumber, you know. So if you're out there and you're working on these old houses, before you just fill up that dumpster randomly, you need to really think about the treasures that you have in your hand before you start filling up that dumpster. I think there's a couple more over here, not that I'm going around in search of, but man, they are just way too cool. There are a couple here. You can see one there, and then there's another one right there, and another one yet right there. So it's, you know, they abound around here. There's a couple more here, but I gotta tell you, I commend Shoreline Builders. You know, I'm always talking about the team. So yes, I pride myself on the work that I do, but there is no way I could do the work that I want to do if I didn't have clients, like the two clients here that just totally appreciate what we want to do. Having a builder like Jim, Shoreline Builders, I've been working with them for 30 years. They were the very first builder that I ever did a project with. Actually, on our way over, my son and I drove by the original house, the very first project I did with Shoreline. So here we are 30 years later. I'm still working with them, and I'm telling you, Jim is easily one of the best, if not the best builder I've worked with. In 30 years, we've never even had a reason to raise our voice against each other. He is a total team player. Our collaborative efforts are just spot on. We do a hell of a job together. And as you can see here, these guys just do impeccable work. So anyways, we'll jump upstairs. We got the bonus room to see. We got the second floor to see. And hopefully Jim is supposed to be stopping by here. So maybe we can grab him, get him on camera, and we'll return and talk about building some of these just absolutely beautiful cabinets. So anyways, that's the Historic Reno project. I'm Steve, Basic Architect, and Shoreline Builders was the builder, and this is our Reno project. Long live our buildings to a second life.